Right, continuing the tuning of the LGV. To remove the barrel, on the left side is a lock nut, so you remove the lock nut, make sure it don't slip. It's quite a wide slot you need for this. Right, so when that's free, undo that, put it to one side, and you can turn it over. There's a spring washer there which will probably fall out, and with it broken like that, make sure the gun is broken. You can then undo the other side. You need to hold this latch a little bit to take the load off it as well though. Once you've got it loose, let's get a screwdriver in there. Just unscrew it. Take the tension off with this latch. As you can see, I'm holding the latch. Hold the latch there. Screwdriver in the middle. I normally make screwdrivers to fit exactly, but we're doing this as a DIY to tune yourself, so you won't be able to do that every time. You have to use what's at hand. So when you've undone that, that will come out. Take that spring washer and then put it to one side. The other spring washer has fell out, so we put it with that nut, and then the barrel will just pull away like that, and you've got the shims either side, one either side. You need to lubricate them with a good molybdenum lubricant, so I'll use the pick to start it off. Just like that. That way you can put your molybdenum grease there, which I'll do now. This is MS2. It's a really rich molybdenum grease. Put that in there. Ready for assembly. Then put the washer back and grease that side. We do that again when we put it back together, but I do the other side. In the hole, then put the shim back, and then put it back together. But before you do, just lubricate the shim again. And the other side, and inside the gun there, both sides. When you've lubricated it, just slide the cylinder back on, line it up with a hole, make sure the spring washer is on the pin, and then push it through. When it goes in a little way, you'll find it stops, so you have to pull this lever to let it go through to reach the other side. So when you've done that, we'll start it off, keeping all the tension. When you tighten this up, don't overdo it. You need it so it just stays in the position without any movement from side to side. I can feel it getting tight now. Let's see how that is. A little bit too slack. Give it a little tiny nip now. That feels like it, and feel there's nearly quite a bit of resistance, so it won't seize up. Because if you do it a little bit too tight, you can find that it will seize up. So with it set like that, you then put the lock nut on the other side with a washer. Put the washer in. Just snip that up. What I do is I put my finger the other side. So when I do it up, I can make sure the other side ain't unscrewing. Get the wider blade now to do it up. And that's it, that's done it up. It shuts nice. Now we're going to degrease the inside. I've degreased the piston already. So we'll degrease the inside. You can do that with petrol or thinners. And I like to use a piece of wooden dowel. So you put a slot in the dowel, and you can put the tissue or what you're going to use in that slot. So that way you can turn it round, put your thinners on it, right, then turn it, spin it round like that, and then push it down, push it right to the bottom of the cylinder, turning it all the time. Then as you turn it, pull it back out again. Do this till it comes out real clean. See, it's still dirty, so I'll do another one. Put it in the slot. Just to get a grip on it, then you can rotate it again. Like that. Do the same again. Keep it spinning. It's fairly clean now. Just do one more, and that should be enough. Right, so get it going in the slot like that. Just pulling it from side to side. And spin it round, bearing in mind that the bore is smaller up this end, so you need to make this a bit smaller than the bore at the beginning here, because this is larger and here it's smaller. It goes down to 25mm this end, whereas at the back end it's nearly 30. Keep it spinning as I come out. And that's nice and clean. The only black you got is from the back end here. So now I'm going to wipe the piston over once more, the piston washer. Make sure it's nice and clean. And all back here. Then you put silicone oil on the front of the washer. This is the MS1 silicone oil. Now this only is put round the washer, the plastic. This is for plastic to metal. So you put a little drop round the front like that. and smear it round with your finger or a Q-tip. Make sure it's covered all round. All round that front lip. And the back end you lubricate with a molly again. Smear that round there. You don't want any lubricant along here other than the MS1. So if you put a load of lube across here, the capillary action will draw it to the front and you'll end up with diesel in. So when you've got it all on there, you can put the piston back in. That's it, the piston's back in. Push it home. Then we can lubricate the spring. We're going to change the spring from this standard one to my beast one, which has got 29 coils. The standard one has got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 32 coils. So we're going with 3 coils less. So we're going to really coat this now with molybdenum when it's in the spring guide. Here's our spring guide that we're made in steel. You put that on there like that, and then you lubricate it with the molybdenum all over. You can use a paintbrush if you want. This is going to take some time, so I'll cut it there and come back when I've coated it all. Right, I've lubricated the spring with a heavy dose of spring damper on the back, so that's along this back end here. And I've also lubricated it down there on the back with molybdenum, because that's where the pressure goes, along the back here. If you can see that, there's high pressure goes along this back end here. So we'll put this back in there now. I'm not using the top hat what come with a standard gun, and here you can see we're a little bit short, only about that much, 1.25 inches, which has got to be compressed. So we've now got to go to the spring compressor to squash it down, or you can, if you're strong enough, you can squash it down by hand, because it ain't that hard. And what you can do is use a pin. I'll make up a slave pin like this, so it's easy to put in there to lock it while you put the proper pins in. You'll notice on these, the front pin is the short one and the fatter one. They're different, they're not the same. One's longer, but the rear one is also thinner. So that goes in the rear, the thicker one goes in the front. But I'm going to use this locating one to squash it down and put it in that one. For health and safety, I'd recommend that you use a spring compressor. It makes it a lot easier anyway. Right, that's located it together. So now I can put the rear pin in. What I also do is I sometimes taper the front of the pin a little bit, just to help it self-align itself, but this one I haven't. What we see, it's going straight in anyway, so it don't need that. So you tap that in with a light hammer. You don't need a heavy hammer. Just you only need a little tap to line it up. Right, so with a little hammer, I've got a bigger hammer here, but you only need a small hammer to just tap it. That's it, that's come out the other side, so that's level. You can now pull this one out, or just tap the one in from the other side and it will tap that out. That's level there, both sides. So we put it back into stock, but also lubricating this because this goes in the stock and rubs against the plastic rubber guide along the bottom. As you can see here, that needs to be lubricated with molybdenum, which we'll put an heavy dose on there. Move that over. Bit of molybdenum. There and there. But also underneath on the gun, put a smear along there. And then lock that back in. You can then put it back in the stock. Like that, and then put all the screws back. So we'll starting the front one off first. Once it's started, a few threads, then leave that, and then we'll put the trigger guard on, start the front one off again on the other side. Got the rear trigger guard started. Let's go in there, that's for going in a thread. Then we'll do the back one up again, a little bit more, and then we'll put the rear one in. It doesn't have a washer on the rear one. Some do, some don't, but this hasn't got them. Gradually tighten them up equally. Now do this side. And the back again. A little bit more. Then the front on the opposite side, a little bit more. The back, front again. That's come up quite firm now. And then the back again. Now we resort to a bit more leverage. If your gun suffers with trying to work loose on these screws, put a bit of Loctite on them, because you don't want them coming loose. These shouldn't come loose at the front because they've got serrated washers on them. That should be it. And we'll see if it cocks. get a 2-2 pellet, keep hold of the barrel and put a pellet in. 2-2, now it's ready to go. We'll get a bit of wood to shoot into. Right, now we've put it together, we'll just check it out, see if it works. A 2-2 crossman to try it in. It's going pretty good. Put it on the chronograph now. And bear in mind that when they bed in, the power might go up. So don't set it too close to 12. Or if you do, check it every couple of thousand rounds to make sure it ain't crept up over the limit of your country. Wipe the excess grease off. There's a small screw that goes in to put pressure on the rear of that bottom sear, and that goes in the hole there, if you can see that. The more you screw that in, the more pressure there's going to be on that bottom sear. When you've set there, you can put a drop of Loctite on there, or you can use a nail varnish. I normally use black nail varnish to stop screws coming undone and also to see if they've moved.